Good morning, everyone, and welcome to July's monthly webinar. I'll be your host on today, Philip Graves, as well as alongside of me, we have Les Fletcher and the E-Construction Group, who's filled with a wealth of knowledge, if you guys have not tapped in just yet, to be able to pick their brains on some questions that you might have on some policies, procedures, as well as some of those helpful techniques that we have out there. On today, we have I would say a jam-packed filled monthly webinar with a good bit of knowledge that we're going to transfer over to you guys in regards to how to magnify on images. Les is also going to dive into a form or two on this morning. Les, did you want to kind of speak to that before we kind of get started?
Good morning, everybody. Thanks, Bill. Yeah, we're just going to talk about one of the really almost unused forms, the Mandrel Form. And if we have some time left, something came up on the last, I believe that was, I don't know, one of the meetings we had, Q&A or the micro-learning, something that we came up with that might be a use of some, for some people, we're going to go over that. And even maybe I'm going to show you an update to the dispositions that HeadLight just finished up for us. So a lot of stuff this morning.
Sounds good. Sounds good. As we normally do, we always have our roundtable where we invite you guys to bring forward any kind of questions, any kind of scenarios or subjects you might want to discuss while it's fresh on your brain. You guys are more than welcome to start that off by just letting us know, what did you come to the meeting with this morning, or any questions that you had top of mind this morning in regards to HeadLight Fieldbook, or it can be e-construction related. So I'll go ahead and open up the floor to any and everybody. Anybody have any questions? Anybody battling this heat just like I am that noticed something? Sun glare, I'm pretty sure we've all had a little bit of sun glare on the iPad out in the field, as hot as it's been. So is that troubling you guys? Did that make any differences or changes in your process based on those things? Anybody notice anything new inside the software? That's always a great question to find out who's been in there, who's been actually tinkling around in there. Any new features, any new buttons that you noticed that you didn't notice before? No?
We still have lots of people joining in. That's good.
Yeah.
Going back to the heat question, like I know that was an issue when I was in the field using the iPad. My iPad used to overheat pretty often. Anybody dealing with that? Like anybody who's actually in the field? Jimbo, I see you're on the call. How you doing with that? You got any problems there? He might be on the phone call. Looks like he's talking to somebody.
Yeah, I think Jimbo was working on some things before we actually got started. One other question I would like to mention to you guys while we're on that subject is, if you guys have any replacements and stuff like that, hopefully everybody's aware of how to put those requests in regards to like new cases. I noticed that the heat can actually do a little damage to those cases out in the field over time, where you guys can ask for a replacement case. If you are having trouble with devices, you can request those as well. We have a form for that, and you can find that form under headlight.com/LADOTD-forms/ to be able to access those. I'm actually going to drop that link inside the chat while we give a few more minutes for anybody who has any questions. Hey, Amber, how you doing?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Pretty good. It sounds like you're out in the field.
Yes, sir.
How are things going for you and your group?
It's going good.
Okay, that's always good to hear. Les, did you want to let them know anything specific when they put those requests in for like cases or accessories like wall chargers, car chargers, or anything?
I pulled it up. Let's share. I'll share my screen and we'll show them kind of what that is in case there are some people who are not aware. Let me drag this over here. Everybody see that? You see my screen, Phil?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. Yeah, so this is the link that Philip dropped in, headlight.com, LADOTD forms. So, I mean, most of the PEs should be familiar with this, just because you have to request the project imports, but there are several things. So even when you're getting a new user or, a new device request, but I think this is the one Philip is really talking about, damaged equipment return and replacement. Just open that up. This really needs to be, if you're an inspector, this really needs to be filled out by your supervisor. So I would say PEs and Tech 7s need to be filling this out just so we can make sure that we're not requesting equipment just because you want a new one, but really because something is actually damaged. And so there you go. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So pretty simple to fill out, but if you have a charger that is broken or something along those lines, this is how we're doing it. And it's kind of set up with HeadLight now to where I keep some of this in stock here at headquarters. And so when they get the request, you don't request it directly from me, so I will not just ship you one. You request it through HeadLight using this form, and then they will send me an official request. And usually something like that, we can put it in our interdepartmental mail and get it out to you. Now, on the consultant side, it's different because that's a different contract for the iPads. So, Philip, what are they using? Do they have a form as well, or?
Yes, actually, they can actually use the same form.
Okay.
We're able to then verify if they have it directly under them, and then we're able to replace those devices from our side. So it's a little bit of a different process, but we take care of it on our end. So if you ever have anyone or a consultant group or something like that reach out in regards to their iPad, just go ahead and let them know that they can access this form as well, and we take care of it on our end for them. Also, one other thing that we had on that form, if you ever have contractors who are looking to get access from a view only, they can get access by one of those forms that's included on that, which is the contractor request. So if you ever have anybody who access to see some of the DWRs or something like that, or information on a project that's a contractor, they can request access and we can give them view only. They won't be able to change any information on the DWRs or be able to input any information in HeadLight, but they can see those completed DWRs from inside of the software as well. So that's another one out there. But thanks, Les, for showing them that form. The URL is actually dropped inside of the chat if you want to get it. And then I can also send that to you guys later on as far as any email. So thank you. So last chance, any questions, any comments, any scenarios that you guys want to work through before we kind of dive into some of these topics? I want to make sure that Les has enough time, as well as I want to show you guys a few features on my end as well. So no questions? Going once, twice. Boom, it's going. All right, so we're going to go ahead and dive in. One of the topics that I wanted to show you guys is I noticed that a lot of people are starting to get comfortable with annotation. That has started to build up. I know we did a session on that before where we showed you guys how to use annotation, some of the benefits of annotation, as well as how it can highlight certain things inside of your images and bring attention to it, instead of people trying to guess or interpret your image for whatever it may be. Sometimes you guys have to take photos from a little bit far back as opposed to being right up on that subject. There is another tool out there that is very helpful, and I've actually seen a few inspectors use it. Okay, now it's a slightly different of process in order for you to be able to use this tool, but it's the image magnifier that I'm going to talk about on today, which is very handy. It's like, I guess, less what we call that, what, 1.5, right? Is where you're graduating just a little bit, starting to use a few more tools inside of your toolbox to be able to bring more attention to some of the great work that you guys see out in the field, okay? One of those things is basically what you would do is you can take it from a new photo. Your photos are saved not only inside of HeadLight, but they're saved inside of the gallery as well, okay? And you're going to use the native photo app to be able to access the image magnifier and use it to be able to draw attention to something that might be in your photo, okay? So I'm going to actually share my screen to show you guys, and I'm going to walk you guys through this step by step. So I can just go ahead and get it to show up. Here, there we go. Can everyone see my screen? Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that nod. So on my screen right now, you're probably seeing that it's blank. I am on the LADOTD Training 2.0 project. All right. Remember that this is a project that you guys can go on. You can try things out. You can test some of those features out that we discussed, as well as if you want to follow along with my steps right now, you can do so as well, as long as you have your iPad with you. Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to do in order for me to go through these steps are, I'm going to start off just like I would do any other type of observation. I'm going to hit that green plus button that you guys see. That green plus button actually gives me access to be able to hit what type of observation that I'm going to use. This is primarily going to be on your image observation. So I'll go ahead and click on image. The first thing that pops up is going to be my camera, okay? Now, it's two ways that you can do this. I'm going to take this quick little photo right here. I can do it from a photo that I've just taken, or I can do this from a photo that I already have saved inside of my iPad, okay? So now that I have the photo, I can go ahead and select this photo just the way it is by hitting the green check button. You'll notice that the photo's already out there. And then I get those four options at the bottom. I have the ability to save. I can retake this photo. I can also hit the gallery button, and I can also add annotation to this photo, just the way it stands right now. But I want to draw focus on the image magnifier, okay? So what I want to do is I'll go ahead and hit gallery. When the gallery comes up, I see a list of all of my photos that I've taken in here, and I can select either one of them, okay? I'm going to start by selecting the photo that I'm already on, or I can go in there and be able to put that photo right in here. That's one way that I can do it. But in order for you to be able to do this, you have to get outside of the HeadLight setup in order to access it. So I can close this down, or I can use the tool that we previously used, which was the slide over. Hopefully everybody was here for that, or you accessed last month's meeting to be able to know how to use the slide over or the micro learning session. But I'm going to go ahead and minimize this by taking the 5-finger grab. I go to my photos, and I notice that that photo is now saved in here. Okay, I can select this photo. After I select it, I want to hit edit. And you'll notice that I have all of these settings now in the native Photos app to be able to adjust this photo. I can change the contrast. I can do a few things inside of this photo. But what I really want to do is I want to go up at the top, and I want to hit the little blue pencil where it says markup, okay? That allows me to be able to write on this photo just as well as do a few other things. But I'm going to hit that plus button that I see down at the bottom next to the colors. And you'll notice that the word magnifier actually shows up. I can tap on magnifier. And now you see I can move this all across my screen to magnify any piece that I want to magnify on this photo, okay? So I'll come right here at the bottom. And in order to make the circle bigger, you can press the blue. You can drag the blue actually on the photo, and you can put it anywhere you want on here. And if I wanted to get closer, I can take the green dot that you see and start to slide it clockwise to be able to zoom in anything that I want on my photo. This works well for me to be able to zoom in as I magnify to draw emphasis on anything on the photo, okay? And you're probably saying, okay, well, Phil, I get the idea, but how does this work out in the field? How do I use this in my specific workflow? So what I'm going to do is I've done it on here, but I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to use photos that are more construction related, that have more context around actual road construction, actual things that you guys might see in the field. So I'll go ahead and hit done on this photo. You see that the photo is saved, but I'm gonna go to a few photos that I took right outside. I have one with some concrete cracks that I can draw attention to, and then I also have some extra concrete right over here on the side of a paved road, okay? So I'm gonna use Magnifier on this photo specifically. So when you're inside the Photos app, you wanna make sure that you hit Edit. I'm gonna hit the pencil that I see right up in the top right. Once I open up that, you see that I get those extra settings where I can pick a pencil, a marker, a highlighter, as well as eraser. Then I can also hit this plus button that brings me into another screen that has the description, text, signature, and magnifier, okay? I'll go ahead and tap on the magnifier. It's right there in the middle of my screen. I can pull it around and drag it around to anywhere on the screen that I might need. I want to catch this little extra spot of concrete that's sitting over here in the grass. Open it up just a little bit to draw emphasis on it. Okay. And then I can use the green dot and go clockwise to kind of zoom in on this extra concrete that's sitting right off here on the side. Okay. So hopefully everybody was able to do that. Everybody will be able to follow the steps that I just did on today. Also, this will be recorded so you guys can follow up. But this is another tool that you guys can use to draw more emphasis on your photos at specific things that you want to point out, okay? Anybody have any questions in regards on how to use the image magnifier? After this photo is complete, you can then go ahead and save it. One of the cool things about it is after I'm done with it, I can go ahead and drop it right into HeadLight Fieldbook, okay? So I'll go ahead and minimize this. I'll go back into my HeadLight Fieldbook. It's still stuck on the same screen where I had that initial photo, but I want to change it to that photo that I just created. So I would go in, I can tap on it. That photo is now there, and then I can hit save, and you'll notice that that image will pop up on my side to be able to do so. Looks like Jason's is working in there right now, doing the image himself. Thank you, Jason, for following along. I appreciate everybody. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Les, I'll go ahead and pass it over to you so you can give them some more knowledge in regards to some of those forms.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate that little demo. I actually used that in the field a couple of times. It was pretty handy when you're trying to call out something that's pretty small and detailed. So I'm going to go ahead and share my, before we move on, are there any questions about that or annotations in general? No? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We good? Can you see that?
Yes, we can see it, Les.
Okay, so I don't have a whole lot today. These actually shouldn't take very long, but I do want to give you some updates. So HeadLight recently made a change to SamplePlan, and it's probably one that everyone at least needs to be aware of. It's actually a change that we requested. So we've talked on this webinar before about sample dispositions. HeadLight had the and we're going to the dashboard now in SamplePlan. So HeadLight had the dispositions kind of categorized by either, I can't remember, it's either material code or maybe by line item. And so what was happening is when you would add a disposition of one, if you had multiple line items attached to that sample, then it would edit the next entry that was listed there. Let's see. this might not pull up. I'm using a lot of bandwidth on the call here. And so it was just a little unorganized because the way we think about dispositions is a little different than that. Okay, that does not look right. Oh, there we go. So the way you get to, in case you were not on the webinar we did where we showed you where to put in sample dispositions for HeadLight, I'm going to show you that now. So in HeadLight sample plan, under the dashboard tab, you have several options here. So this is your sample plan, and just there's another sample tab. There's actually a custom tab that is usually here that HeadLight is working to put back in when they did the update. Apparently got left off, and so we kind of need that view. But the one we're looking for is failing samples. So what happens is when you, let me get this off my screen. So when you do the failing samples, it gives you a list of all your failing samples in materials for the project. And like I said before, this used to be itemized by, I believe, the line item. Line item's still there. If you see this little, if you notice this little 1 beside it, that represents how many line items are actually tied to the sample. This is a good example. This one has 6. And so if you click on that, it'll actually display all of the line items that this type A backfill is attached to in that sample. That's what would show up on your 2059. So that's still available to you, but you obviously now can go into each individual sample and add your sample disposition. And it's the same way, all of it works the same. It's just really how it looks and how it is itemized that is different. So just the test disposition here. And when you save that, obviously this gets saved in the HeadLight system and then will show up on the HeadLight ATM. Now this does not back sync to Site Manager, so that's something to be aware of. This only goes to the HeadLight ATM. So if you're using disposition remarks in HeadLight, you will need to run the HeadLight ATM. All right, so that's it. That was just a little update on that. Anybody have questions about that part? I did this on a live project, so I'll tell you what, let me go in here and delete that before I get out. No questions about dispositions. Has anybody used dispositions? No? All good. That's a pretty simple one. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was a form that we actually, HeadLight created it for us maybe over a year, maybe 2 years ago. And I have not seen a whole lot of usage for this form. It can be found in 2 places. So if you're in HeadLight Field Book under Forms, it is listed. If you press the green plus button in the form types, you should see this listed on all projects. Should be statewide. So it's called Mandrel Testing of Pipe Structures. And it's obviously for pulling a mandrel through plastic pipe, right? So you know how we're supposed to, when the pipe is installed and backfilled, you're supposed to wait, I believe, 30 days. Somebody can correct me if that's changed since I was in the field, but I think you wait 30 days and then you pull the mandrel through it to make sure that that pipe is passing, and then you can pay the remainder. I believe it's 25%, if I'm not mistaken there. I probably should have read the spec again before I got on here. The form, like I said, it can be found in 2 places. The first place is in Field Book. I actually prefer to do all the forms in materials. It seems to flow a little easier. So in HeadLight materials, we go to the hamburger menu, 3 bars, and you'll go down to forms here. Same method, you will press the green plus button, choose a project. I'm just going to go on the test project here for today, and then you will scroll down to mandrel testing. So let's go take a look at it. You obviously have the option to rename it here. So, you know, whatever way your office chooses to document this, maybe you do it by structure number. That might be a good way to track it. Just whatever your office is comfortable with. You can totally leave it blank and it will generate a name for you. That works fine as well. we'll dive into the form. It's very simple. This form does not sync with Site Manager. There's really no need for it. It is just an additional form of documentation. Now, you obviously can just take images and video and even narratives of pulling a mandrel in Fieldbook like that. That works. But as you've noticed, a lot of our inspection is going to a form-based inspection. And so the reason for that is when you fill out this form, then all this data becomes available to people like Patrick, who can go into the background tables and pull all of that out and run reports off of it. And then also it's just a tidy way to keep track of all of your documentation. So it's really easy in Fieldbook. I'll switch back over here for a second to kind of go through here and sort through these forms and pull up a list of all the forms you did for mandrels and pulling mandrels through the plastic pipe. So that's one of the reasons we prefer you do it through the form way. Very simple, pretty easy to fill this out. Just whatever contractor is on the job. This would be the prime contractor. Usually you have a subcontractor doing pipe. I'm just going to select the stuff that I've put in before. So this would be the contractor that installed the pipe. Again, structure number, if that's listed in the plans, which it should be. Material spec. This is probably not one you have to fill out. Generally right now, it's going to be the 2016 spec. If your contract has something different, I think it would be a good place to list it there. Pipe pay diameter. When you're doing this, we want to make sure that we're putting in, your pay diameter, which is generally 18, 24, 36. You know how that goes. So whatever your plastic pipe is, we'll just say 18 here, and let's just say we have 60 feet of it. Maybe it's a cross drain that we're putting across the highway. This is pretty important. Date backfill completed. So usually you'll have to, when you're actually running the mandrel test, you're actually going to have to go back and see when you installed the pipe and then got the backfill done, because it's a 30-day count. If I'm not mistaken, it's a 30-day count from there. So we'll just go back and say it was done on June 1st. And the actual date of the mandrel test is today. When they get done, if the mandrel pulled through fine, then you can go ahead and give that a pass. Like I said, this does not currently sync with any of our systems. There's no need to, right? This is all done within HeadLight. It can be documented there, and it's perfectly fine to do that. You don't really have to document this anywhere else. Obviously, it's a great place to put remarks here. So if you might say halfway through the pipe, it struggled a little bit to come through, but was able to get the mandrel through, something along those lines. And then the main part is here, obviously adding images, which, we're photo-based inspection now. So this is like one of the main reasons we want to have this type of inspection. So I'm on my computer. This works the same way from the iPad. I'll just pull a file off. I think I have some on my desktop here. So mandrel, when you can title this image, and remember, when you upload images to the form, it's also going to add those images to your daily work report, right? So just some, whatever descriptions you want to put, make sure we're titling our observations complete. And obviously you can add more than one. So you just keep going. If you have multiple things, maybe when they started, when they stopped, that kind of deal. I have a couple of images here I'll upload. So this would be people, the contractor pulling those through, mandrel test, that kind of deal. So once you've got all your media documented, and if you want to do a video, I can actually show you how to do that as well. It's not directly from the form, but after you finish the form, I can show you how to add one to it. So how do I sign it? Really, you can't click here, type in, that does nothing. So to sign it, basically when you hit submit, it will change the, as an inspector, it will actually put your name as the inspector. Same thing if it goes to the text 7. If you want to lock this form down, now this is very critical to know. When the reviewer reviews this, so if I were to go in here and click review, it locks this form down and it cannot be edited anymore. So if you do that, you want to make sure that you have completed all the things you want to complete. I'm actually not going to lock this one down right now, And it's not even necessary to lock it down probably till the project is complete, right? I think that would actually be the better way to do it, is to leave it submitted until the end of the project, when everything is done and everything's paid for and we have accepted that pipe completely. I think that's probably the best time to go in and review that. So let's go back to here and let's spin for a minute and see if we have some observations. So you can see it actually has created those observations. I don't know if it's had time for the photos to come over yet, probably not. But it did create my images, my image observations here. As soon as those photos hit the server, they'll be here. And in forms in Fieldbook, even though we did that work in materials, you can see now my form is listed in Fieldbook. And you can go in here, you can fill out the form this way as well. Like I said, it works in both. While that's loading, do we have any questions about this so far? No. Yeah, it hasn't even had
Those
time. Go ahead.
forms, I have a question.
Okay.
Those forms, when you get to the end of the project, are they required to be reviewed and locked, or can they just
Not at
stay in
this
there?
time. Yeah, not at this time. No, they're not required. Actually, I'm going to stop my share because I think that, I did want to show you about the video. So I'll kind of show you how to do that right quick. No, at this time, they're not required to be locked. So yeah, you could leave it in a submitted stage. I like it in the submitted stage. At least you have a signature on there showing that, you know, the inspector kind of did it, even though the observations are, you know, like when the observation comes over, you can see my name is attached to it. I think it's just a good practice to go ahead and submit it. In the future, the forms and stuff, you know, when we are HeadLight only, right, without site manager and their system of record, that's when we will be ironing out and mapping out the processes of that very thing. That's so like, what do I need to have submitted and actually approved and signed off on? And so that documentation, we'll get that out to you when we get to that point. But at this time, no, site manager is still system of record. And so this is just good documentation, and it's kind of the way we want you to do it, right? We want to have these Mandrel forms for our plastic pipes. And HeadLight is an official software for DOTD, but it's not that system of record. And so the status submitted and approved in here for forms right now does not really matter. I don't know if I have a video. Let me see if I can find a video right quick in here. I don't know if I've actually ever uploaded a video to this test project. Looks like somebody has, so we can grab one of these. So what, let's see, what would you want to do if you want to add a video to the form? You will go to display all observations. You will find that video. So let me go back. Oh. Video. And while you've got the video that you're looking for, so you've actually uploaded a video, you actually record the video in HeadLight Fieldbook itself. To attach it to the form, you just need to grab the video here by selecting it. And then you can add to form here in the bottom right. So when you do that, you'll see that this changes to 3, right? So now I have 3 observations in the form. I have the 2 images I uploaded directly from the form and the video that I added directly from Fieldbook. And so that's really the only way we have currently to add video to that form. I'm sure that'll change in the future. So it'll probably have we'll probably end up getting, once the technology gets there, we'll be able to get that video button directly into the form. Okay, so any questions there? Let me see if I can find out how to stop sharing. I don't know where my controls went. Too many
Les, I don't have any question, but I just wanted to say something on that, on the Mandrel test. I was just messing around in HeadLight materials, and I created a sample ID that could be used like as for the Mandrel test. And it looks like just like the sample test results form can be added more than once, the Mandrel test form can be added more than once. So let's say if you got many drainage structures that are all the same type and same size pipe, and you want to record the Mandrel tests for each one, it looks like you could do that. And in that way, those Mandrel tests will show up on your ATM as well.
That's a great observation, Kevin. I really appreciate you saying that. So what Kevin's saying is that you can create a sample ID for just say an 18-inch plastic pipe, and then add that Mandrel form to that sample ID. And so it could all be, you could have all that documented information for that pipe in one place, and an easy way to find it. So it actually ties it to that sample ID number. Yeah, good observation there, Kevin. That really helps. Any other questions? No? How are we looking on time?
I think we're pretty good, Les. We're moving. I think we might be given the gift of time back on today. But yes, thank you, Les, for that demonstration. As always, I think you were very thorough and detailed in it, and a lot of people, hopefully everybody got something out of that as well. Thank you also, Kevin, for your feedback in regards to that, and working on those while we were on the monthly webinar, so that way you can find, give more information on your side. So we do appreciate that additional information that you provided as well, Kevin. So now that we've gone through our demonstrations on today, there's a few things that we want to highlight out in the newsletter. Hopefully everybody was able to check out the newsletter this month. I really want to give a pat on the back and kudos to Michael Brister, as well as Destin Bennett, for being HeadLight heroes on this month. If you could, go check out their observations. We pulled 2 observations that they've actually done as of recent inside of HeadLight Fieldbook, and you'll be able to see the amount of detail that they put into it, as well as using all of the features that we kind of demonstrate during this monthly webinar, okay? Another thing that we want to highlight, there is a plethora of information out there in the tips and tricks section, okay? This month, we highlight the Reminder app, okay? I get a lot of times where people reach out and they call and say, hey, I did a lot of work, but I forgot to do my DWR or tie it all in. I got a little bit busy, didn't remember to do it. Well, the Reminder app is out there to refresh you guys' memory. You can set that up to remind you every day at a set time. I know some of you guys get off at about 3:30, 5 o'clock difference. It varies across the state. But this Reminder app can go ahead and send you a text message or a message every day, letting you know, hey, don't forget to do your DWR. Don't forget to log out. Some of those things that we preach to you guys that are things that will help you have a better experience inside the software, help you be able to stay ahead on your work. This Reminder app is out there for you. It's almost like a personal assistant, and that's what I consider it to be. I've tried it out. I've used it. If anybody on here has used it, this is something that's available on your iPhones as well as your iPad. I would tell you to definitely check it out and give it a try, okay? Not saying that it'll work for everyone, but I think it could be helpful to the majority, okay? So check that out. Also, we have some other tips and tricks from previous months. If you've never checked those out, it's great to go out there. We have some that show you a few features. We also have some that show you how you're able to take observations. One of the big ones is people ask about multitasking. Last month, we did a segment on how you can use the slide over function to be able to multitask, for you to be able to look at your plans, to be able to look at some of the photos that you've actually taken. We also showed you guys how to take quick notes, okay? So feel free to go back in the previous month's newsletters, find those tips and tricks, and use them to your benefit, okay? Les, did you want to add anything in regards to that?
Yeah, since we got a few minutes, Phil, I'm going to go over the photo share, the quick photo share that we came up with last time when we did the micro learning session. So I'm going to share from my iPad here.
Okay.
Felt like it was a pretty good tip, might save somebody a few clicks. So we got an iPad screen now. So I'll go into Fieldbook here. And one of the things when we were talking about the multitasking, one of the things Philip was showing is that when you pull up from the bottom here, you get your list of your recently used apps, and also some that are just on your main dock there. So if you grab your Photos app and drag it up, you can see it actually puts it as a split screen. And this actually moves across the iPad, so you can move it out of your way. So while you're working in Fieldbook, you can have this kind of on the side, and when you swipe back to the left, it comes out, or you can actually move it to the other side or have multiple. So, oh, sorry, now I got my zoom in the way. I usually like to keep it on the right side. So one thing we found out is that when you do an image from Fieldbook, right, you hit the plus and then you grab image, you got to close the camera out if you want to get something from your gallery. So we found that there's actually an easy way to share directly from the Photos app. You can do it while you're multitasking, but my thing about it is sometimes something has happened very quickly and you have to get to your camera and you want to get it uploaded. So if you just go straight to your camera, snap a picture, this is in my office, tap on the picture, and you see the share button up to the top left here is the box with the little arrow. When you press that, if you notice, you have apps here that you can share that to, and Fieldbook is one of those. So if you select Fieldbook, you can see it brings up this little box. It tells you the project that you're sharing this to, the username you're logged in as, which you all should only have one. And then it gives you a prompt. That prompt is for the title of your observation. So if you title it and post, done. That is actually going to Fieldbook now. So you can see in Fieldbook, it already uploaded that. So that's really quick way. If you're out in the field and you have not opened Fieldbook yet, usually in the mornings when you open it up, it takes a minute for it to load everything and you need to grab something quick and get it uploaded. That's probably the fastest way to share something directly to Fieldbook. And you can do that not just with images, but I believe that works for files as well. And even videos. So just one little quick tip. I used it a lot when I was in the field. That quick share seemed to be helpful at times. Any questions about that? Nope.
Thanks, Les. Appreciate it. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to eConstruction to kind of update you guys on anything that they have going on currently right now, as well as any information that they want to pass to you guys. I believe we do have Patrick on the call as well. Patrick, did you have anything that you want to notify them of or kind of give any kind of updates or information on? We still have him. He might have jumped on a call. Les, did you have any?
No, not too much. I'm looking forward to, we got our District 62 users on the call. We're starting a little coaching section out in 62. We're going to come out there and meet with you all and hopefully, show you a few things and maybe you can show us a few things. So looking forward to that. I think that'll be good time spent. And get you guys up to speed there.
Yep. Hat and boots are ready. That's going to be Cody's group out there in 62, Unit 200, that we will be with on Wednesday. So the rest of the District 62 group, kind of get prepared. We'll be seeing you guys pretty soon as well, and we'll kind of reach out to you as we get closer to those dates where we can work with you guys. So hopefully have an awesome time with you guys as well. So I do believe we got a few other in eConstruction. Kevin, Barbier, you have anything for anybody?
I would just say when you're filling out the forms, make sure you fill out everything you possibly can, especially the item numbers, because if you don't fill out the item numbers, it won't transfer it back to Site Manager. So if somebody in the lab goes to put it in Site Manager, that it won't show the project number, so it might not be tied. If you're trying to do a 2059 from a Site Manager, it won't be tied to it, even though it's in HeadLight. If you don't put the item number or the what is it, your item number or in the HeadLight, it won't transfer back to Site Manager.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he's like specifically talking about structural concrete, any asphalt roadways you do.
Yes.
Those kind of things, yes.
Appreciate that tip, Kevin. Okay, I got one question that we need to ask. Oh, okay. Will Anthony asks where his HeadLight hat. Will, I have you. I got you. I promise you, man. I have something right here by the side of my desk. Make sure that I get it out to you, man. I know you are due the new hat that we have out there. Any of my HeadLight swag gear that you guys see and you want, feel free. It's going to be a swap off. Will, you have a lot of experience, so I'm gonna I'm gonna say, and swap for the new hat that you get me out on the project, man, with you, and you show me the ropes. So I'm pretty sure you don't mind. But I just want to let you guys know I am swapping all HeadLight gear for some time with you guys out in the field. Last but not least, I do want to let you guys know that we do have 2 other calls that are available to you guys for the remainder of the month. The first one is the Q&A session. Okay, I know a lot of people show up for the monthly webinar. Last month, we didn't have as big of attendance in the Q&A, but this is your time, guys, in the Q&A session to ask any and everything, also to pick our brains, to be able to go into a few things that you might have questions about. I know we had a few great questions that came out the last Q&A call in regards to some different things that we're doing. I forgot the specific name for it, but the blow counter was something that came about while I was doing some rounds where people wanted to know what we were doing, how we were going to help them out as far as the blow counter. But there are a few different ways that we can kind of do that, and I wanted to talk about those. So those are great opportunities for us to discuss some of those features that you guys are looking forward to, or ways that we can help you guys out going forward. Come to the Q&A session, okay? The Q&A session is going to be on next Tuesday, all right, at the same time as this one, 10 o'clock, okay? Everybody is invited to that call via a calendar invite, so feel free to join. And then last but not least, the last Thursday of the month, we do a micro-learning session, okay? And that session is going to be directed at how to work offline, okay? I know Les did take us on a brief tour of that, but I want to go ahead and do that one again, because I noticed that we do have a great deal of people who work in rural areas. Internet is not always available. And pretty much I'll let you guys know that if you're working with 2 bars or less, there's no need to struggle with trying to do everything on the internet. You can just work offline. And I want to show you guys how to be able to utilize that feature that we have inside of HeadLight, okay? Any questions around the meetings or the upcoming meetings? All of them are recorded, should you need it. And Les will be able to provide you guys with the information to be able to see those on YouTube, as well as they live on the newsletter, okay? So everybody should be able to view them on a newsletter, keep up with the newsletter, and you can go back and look at any of our old newsletters up to today's date, all right? So Les, you got anything for them before we leave?
I do have one last thing. So, you know, we've been doing these webinars and newsletters since January, and we really value your feedback. So if the things that we are discussing here, or you don't feel like they're relevant, or you guys want us to go back to some very basic stuff, training to go over, we're happy to do that. Like, this is your time. That we just want to be here to assist all of you in what you need in the field. So, you know, send us ideas. If there's some stuff you would like to see in the newsletter, or some things that you just don't feel like are, you know, we're putting out there, but that's not really relevant to what you're doing in the field, hey, send us that stuff. There's plenty of emails you can send that to. You know, DOTD construction emails listed. You can send it directly to me or Phil or anybody at E-Construction, really. So we value that feedback. We want to make sure that we're getting the training out to you guys that you need, not just what we think you need, right? So feel free to send us that stuff. And that's all I got, Phil.
All right. I know we did have a few guest visitors on here from the LADOTD team. If they want to go ahead and mention anything, give a high five or approval or anything like that, or say anything, they are more than welcome to. I'll go ahead and give them a few seconds since we got a little extra time. Anybody? Nope, everybody good.
Hey, Phil, it's Brian.
Hey, Brian, what's going on?
Just jumped on to see what y'all were talking about today. I see we've got 36. It was around 40 participants. I just really appreciate all the guys that are taking the time to, you know, get on this thing and put the time in to learn these new skills and new applications. And just want to say thanks to you, Phil, and to our E-Construction team for all the hard work they've been putting in. And I just, you know, kudos to that group of you guys and really working hard. And I just want to encourage all of our district participants to spread the word and get it out to everybody. you know, whether you're a beginning user or you're a master level, there's always something you can pick up on these. So I just would encourage you guys to share the link, you know, get everybody else in the district on board, and you know, let's get this thing fired up and grassroots spread across the state and be done with it, you know?
Yes, sounds good, Brian. And Brian, we
Thank you, guys.
appreciate your support in these efforts that we have. I think it's the brainstorming that we have together that we get to this point where we're able to push these things out. And just as Brian stated, make sure you tell a friend that tells a friend that tells a friend, right? We want to get to the point where we have 600 users on these calls, okay? Because then that way we're getting a lot of feedback out there and we're all starting to gather the details that we need to be better in using this software. And then the more benefits you guys will see out of us being able to collaborate in regards to how to use it, what's worked well, what we need to improve on as a group. So definitely pass this on. Appreciate you, everybody, for being on the call today. Thank you guys for taking out the time to those that are on. But make sure that you let others know that if they do have the time or if they don't have the time, go back and check the recordings and follow up on it on the LADOTD YouTube page. Thank you, everyone, for attendance. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, take care.
Bye.